Hiya folks, Sandro here with more cartoon news and shenanigans. And if you'd like more cartoon news and shenanigans, I'd ask you to please subscribe to the channel. In fact, do it right now so you don't forget about it later. And I thank you very much for that, guys. So today we have some disturbing news, actually. We're here on boundingintocomics.com, article by John F. Trent. And I always like to tell you guys, if you're new to this channel, you're like, Sandro, you just said cartoon news and shenanigans. Yes, I do cover cartoon news most of the time. But I do also love to talk about comic books because, I don't know, the comic book medium, it's not that far away from, cartoons. A lot of these comic books and manga get made into cartoons and anime, right? Or they get inspired by those kinds of shows, right? Like Batman, the animated series. Well, that that's a different case. That was more of the show. But look, think about it. It's like they go hand in hand. Batman, the animated series, literally invented Harley Quinn, and Harley Quinn is now one of the main comic book characters that they promote in the comics, in DC Comics. It's a mainstay character, Harley Quinn. They keep making Harley Quinn comics. Very popular, very, very popular character. But actually, I think they do push her a little bit too much, actually. Batman, yeah, DC Comics, Batman, any kind of things with Batman, they will sell a lot of Batman. But let's get into this article. Image Comics CFO Eric Larson claims Marvel and DC bosses might shut down new comics production, guys. So that's never a good thing. So like I just said, it goes hand in hand. The comics can inspire the cartoons and the movies and all that. And then the comic books, it's like in recent years, it feels like we're moving away from comics altogether, which is just so sad. And it really feels like even the kids of today, it's like, I remember when I was a kid, I would go to the local library because nobody, I was a big RuneScape player. RuneScape, you guys remember that game? And I would go to the local library and, sometimes I'd be waiting to get on the computer because most people didn't have internet, or most people didn't have a lot of gigabytes or megabytes or whatever for their download speeds, right? I would be playing RuneScape and my mom would be like, "What? We went over our internet limit." So then I had to start going to the library to play RuneScape. And, so a lot of the kids back in those days, we just read books. We played Game Boys and stuff. Nowadays, okay, maybe Game Boys were not the best thing. We played board games. I played chess. We played, Mousetrap, Monopoly. We played all these great games. Nowadays, the kids, they're always on their phones. They're always on their phones. The kids aren't being enticed by comic books like they used to be. And it's just sad to see. And comic books is really dying. The pandemic utterly just drove a stake through the vampire's heart on this one. Holy shit, man. The pandemic really revealed just how bad the comic book industry was really doing. Some of these companies, comic book shops went under. Companies are on their deathbed. If you go right now and type in IDW Comics, they're not doing good, right? Financial fail, right? They're not doing. Look, the first thing that comes up, IDW loses another 3.7 million. You know what I'm saying? That was just a couple years back, though. That was even before the pandemic. My God, that was before the pandemic. But IDW is struggling even to this day. I think if we go into videos, you'll probably just see. Bad idea, comics shutting down. I don't know about that. Is that really shutting down? I'm not sure. IDW publishing layoffs. That was last year. You see what I'm saying here? A lot of the big companies are they can't thrive with the pandemic killing. It killed a lot of comic book stores, and everybody's going to Amazon. And why do you need to go to a comic book store if you have Amazon and direct publishing? And it's just getting crazy out here. So comics is just not doing a great job of getting into the children. The children they just want to play on their phones. You got to get them out of there. You got to get them to look at Batman again, And we're going to read here, guys. I'm sorry. This is going to be a long video probably. Or maybe it won't be. I don't know. Who knows? But This was article came out a couple days ago, like 4 or 5 days ago. Image Comics CFO Eric Larson recently claimed that DC Comics and Marvel Comics bosses, both of them, DC and Marvel, might shut down new comics production altogether, guys. This is crazy. I can't believe it. It's like, how do we go from this bustling industry of comic books to like nothingness? A lot of you guys are gonna say it was woke comics. It really was. A lot of these things, you got Safe Space, and what was the other one? The Internet Gas Guy, and oh my God, Safe Space and Snowflake, and the Dora, the New Warriors. Shitty. They had so many just SJW, social justice warrior, like what is it, New Warrior New Warriors? Yeah, I think that's what it was, right? The New Warriors, my God. Yeah, we got the whole gang here, baby. Internet Gas, Snowflake, Safe Space, some whatever the hell vampire, B negative, yeah. He's probably the only good one, and then I guess it's like an Aboriginal Dora the Explorer or something. With a magic backpack, and it's just like, this is why kids are not reading. Nobody wants woke. Nobody, not even the children, want these woke, weird looking people. They want like muscular. They want like Batman. They want Wonder Woman. They like young girls want a strong woman. That Wonder Woman. They don't want to freaking. Aren't these like binary and like trans or something? Like what the hell? And that's their only identity. Like, who are these characters? They're basically, that's it. That's just their identity. If I haven't read the New Warriors, but like a lot of the times, whenever they make characters gay and bisexual and whatever else, that becomes their identity. And it's just like they stop becoming characters. They become identities, which is just not a good thing because people do not want to look up to those characters. And you're not going to sell books on the identity. You're going to sell books on characters that inspire people. Like, James Bond, right? Like, which man wouldn't want to be some kind of super spy that always gets the ladies, Which guy wouldn't want to be some kind of Indiana Jones hero that explores caves and all this kind of thing, right? So, and Superman, right? Like when you think of Superman, you think he's like the pinnacle of manhood. It's like, that's like a fantasy. It's a male fantasy. You want to be Superman. You want to be able to save the day. Same with Batman's just cool, right? Like who doesn't think Batman is just badass and cool? Like Batman just has a slick demeanor about him. So he gets a pass in my book. But that's the thing, right? It's like when you look at Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, they inspire you. When you look at these characters, they don't. Nobody wants to read these characters. And Marvel and DC have just been pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And where the heck is my article? There we go. But yeah, they've been pushing and pushing. And this is where we are now. We're at the point where comic books could just go kaput and that's it. And it's going to be Kickstarter. It's going to be independence. No more Superman stories. No more. I mean, I'm sure they'll license them out or something. Also, don't forget, Superman enters the public domain, which means anybody can write Superman. Hold on. Superman public domain. I think it's 2031, right? 2032. Look at this, guys. In just 10 more years almost, the first Superman comic becomes public domain in 2032. If they can't petition an extension, God, I hope they don't. DC Comics in just 10 years almost, or 11 years, has to give up the rights to the first Superman book, which means that anybody could publish a Superman book. Okay. Now you can't take some of the mythos, like you'd have to make a new city. You can't have Metropolis. I think Metropolis came like way, way later. And, all these kinds of like books that set up the mythos for Superman. Lex Luthor looked very different back in the day, and you're not going to have like all the supervillains, right? You're only going to have Superman, and he didn't even have all of his power. He didn't have like laser eyes. Back in the day, the original Superman, he could just basically jump high, and he was very athletic, right? He could lift up cars and stuff. I don't think he could fly. He could leap tall buildings in a single bound, right? That's where that comes from. So yeah, that's just crazy that in just 11 years people can start making Superman stories, but like not really. You have to skirt around a lot of the mythos. So, but you can make Superman in just 11 more years. So DC Comics, even if it falls, we're pretty close to the days when Batman and Superman, and Batman I think is 1 year after Superman. So 2033. There's already people asking, is Superman in the public domain? I can't wait for that. 11 more years till people can start making Superman. That's going to be awesome, guys. Going to be awesome. But let's go back to let's read. This is quite an article. Unless there's a lot of pictures. Oh, there's just a lot of pictures. Okay. I thought it was going to be a long article. Let's go. Larson made the comments after expressing his views on piracy. Okay. He wrote on Twitter, on the piracy debate, there is no debate. It's criminal behavior. People are struggling to make a living, and you're taking what they're creating without giving them compensation. There is no justification. I think this is interesting because a lot of the people nowadays, they get introduced to something not by paying for it, but by getting it for free. You know what I mean? So it's like, I know that there's a lot of people who just like read manga online, and then they'll buy a bunch of like let's just say you watch Dragon Ball Z or Naruto online, like the manga or the TV show or the anime I meant. And these people, they watch it for free. They get introduced to Naruto, and then they become fans. They buy merchandise. They buy like all the stuff. They buy the anime, the manga. They buy like all kinds of crazy things. They might buy the games, right? There's a ton of Naruto video games. Tons of I think Dragon Ball Z has more video games than Naruto. But yeah, man, crazy stuff. But people are struggling to make a living. Okay, and we just read that. My bad. So here we go. That's that. And in response, Arthur N. Thomas Hansen wrote, where do you draw the line for bloated cross-title, blatant crash grab stories that Marvel consistently pulls with their mainline titles? Though, look at X of Swords from last year. Is it fair to expect a kid who is reading X-Men to buy 22 extra comics that are over $100 plus over 3 months? No. The answer is no. What did he answer? Oh God! Wow. The answer is no. That's too many books. You can't expect a kid. You can't even expect an adult to buy $100 worth of Who the hell has that kind? Okay. Wait a minute. There's a lot of people that have that kind of money, but buying that many comic book, no, I'm the kind of person, I like to kind of go to the library, take a look at some of these books, we actually have a comic shop in my town, believe it or not. They also sell toys because, well, they couldn't keep afloat just on comics, but yeah. So that comic book shop in my town, when I go there, I usually just buy like a number 1 or something, right? Like if I go there, I'll buy a number 1. Usually like Superman or something. They have a lot of older comics for just very cheap, actually. They're, just for like a couple bucks, you can get some of these old comic books. Just for like a toonie here in Canada, toonie. Sometimes they just have these old back issues from like the 80s and 90s, and I'm just like, wow, that's pretty cool. I'll just grab one of those and read it. And yeah, it's like, how do you expect me to like find and assemble all these old comic books? So a lot of people go on websites like Comixology, right? Comixology. Sorry, I spelled it wrong. A lot of people just come on here and they'll read these kinds of comics and just to be caught up with the story, because we can't buy all of the, we can't just buy everything, right? There's only so many comics. Is this the one, Comixology? Is it where you can read it? Yeah, I think so, right? Unlimited reading. Yeah. Is it Comixology? No, there's certain I thought this is where people can go and read it for free. More than 10,000 comic books. Yeah. I'm pretty sure, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's not Comixology, but a lot of these types of websites that have the whole library for free of all the comic books and such, this is where what people are forced to do because we can't buy. Oh my God, where am I going here? Here, yeah, we can't buy all these comic books, right? Like nobody's going to be able to get all these $100 worth of comic book, 22 extra comic books over the span of 3 months if you want to read every single one. Meanwhile, what a lot of people do with manga, right? They read it online and then they buy the books. They'll buy the entire like manga. What is it called? When it's a whole chapter, right? The whole paperback or no. What's the name? I can't remember. Omnibus. I think that's what. Yeah, omnibus, right? Or no, it has a different name in Japan, I think. But yeah, basically you get a whole like stack of like a whole bunch of stories and okay, let me type it in. Omnibus, right? Omnibus manga. Let's see here. Yeah, I think omnibus. That's so there you go. It is called an omnibus. I thought there was a special Japanese name they had for it. But yeah, you can see here it's like you can have all of the whole like multiple issues of the comics, multiple issues of the manga. And so a lot of people read these things online, right? Like Naruto. How was I going to get Naruto here in Canada? I don't even, did they even sell Shonen Jump in Canada? Like I was just a kid back in those days. I would go to my library and I would see a chapter or one of the manga books of Naruto on the shelf. I'd read it and then I'd be like, I want to keep reading. So I'd go online and read the rest of the chapters, right? And yeah, so it's like, you can't expect anybody to be reading this much comics for this much money, especially not children. And what does he say? There is nothing about that which entitles you to own it, which is just not a great thing to say. If it's too expensive, don't buy it. But it's like this dude out here is like on the piracy debate. There is no debate. So he's basically saying you shouldn't. It's kind of like a catch-22. He doesn't want any piracy, but at the same time, it's like, how are people going to be introduced to these like manga and anime and comic books, right? How are people going to be introduced to new characters if there isn't things like libraries and the free, just reading them free online to like help you get into it? It's just crazy, right? So I do think piracy, you kind of need, it's a double-edged sword, but you kind of need piracy, man. Where do you draw the line? Okay, here, we read that. And then if it's too expensive, don't buy it, man. Just don't buy it. And this is why comic books are failing. Just if you don't like it, don't buy it. It's one of those things. Battlefield 5, right? Remember that whole controversy? Battlefield 5. Don't buy it, right? It was like, yeah. If you don't, hold on, let's read this. This is Battlefield 5, the video game. If you don't like the creative decisions that went into the game, you don't have to buy it. And a lot of people said, well, you know what? F yourself, we're not going to buy it. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Big brain EA guy. Yeah, so that, telling people not to buy it, they will stop buying it. They will just stop buying it if you tell them to stop buying it. So that's never a smart move. Let's keep reading here. Hansen responded in kind. It's less of a problem of entitlement as it is a problem of corporate assumption that all consumers are able to withstand that rate of content. And that's another issue. Too many companies making too many books. Like instead of DC Comics having like a bunch of all of these like Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn and all these characters, just make a Justice League book with the whole story, Just make like one Justice League book and then have like one book for like all the other mythos. Like, it's like, right? Vertigo Comics, you could have an entire line. So it's like, here's all the Vertigo stories and that entire universe. Here's the Justice League. Maybe Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman are the only three that get books. And then there's just one giant Justice League book that ties every show in together. I think that'd be really cool. I really do. I think that'd be really cool. But I don't think we're going to see that. But this guy makes a huge good point right here. A really good point. It's less of a problem of entitlement as it is a problem of corporate assumption that all consumers are able to withstand that rate of content, and they aren't able to withstand that rate of content. Imagine he gives an example. I like this. Imagine a landlord giving notice, and I have a landlord. This is actually an office that I rent from. I'm actually doing YouTube full time here, guys. Imagine a landlord giving notice that the next 2 months you have to pay them 7 times as much rent as usual to keep your apartment, right? Yeah, that's not gonna fly. It's like, hey, you want to keep renting here? You're gonna have to give me a whole bunch more to keep the story going, or to keep the rent, to keep being able to make videos. You want to make videos? 7 times as much rent. So yeah, that's maybe that's not the best example, but I get the point, right? I get the point, and it makes a lot of sense. There's too many books. That's an issue. There's too many books, right? New 52, right? Remember New 52? 52. They try to reduce their lines down to 52, right? It's like, let's go look that up. New 52. How many comics does DC make now? I have no idea. But like the New 52, all 52 books. Yeah, so there was like 52 different titles there. Yeah, you see what I'm saying here? Like, who the fuck's going to keep up with all this? I didn't keep up with that shit. I didn't read it. Hell, I didn't even pirate the New 52 because I was so not interested. But there was some good stories in there, though. From, like every now and again, DC Comics, they make some stories that like stand the test of time. Even Marvel Comics, a couple of years ago, Marvel Comics, when Civil War, when the movie, what was it? The Avengers, Captain America Civil War? Which one? Hold on. It was Avengers Civil War, right? Avengers Civil War. Yeah, that was the movie in theaters that everybody really, really liked. And then Marvel made a comic book called Civil War 2. So a lot of people like that story. I think it was, there was a character who could see into the future, and he had the ability to like predict crimes. So basically, if there was going to be like some kind of explosion, he would be able to stop whoever was going to set off the explosion before it even happened. And the whole Civil War starts that in Civil War 2. The idea is that you see here, choose your side. So I think it's like one of the sides said, I think Captain Marvel was on the side where it's like, we should stop these events before they happen. And Tony Stark was on the side of no, people never, if we stop these events before they happen, then who's to say those people would have even committed those crimes, right? Because the character that could like perceive the future, he only could see a very likely, it was something like that, right? He could only see a likely future, and all of the characters, and then it was something like the government where you had to register with the government. It was a whole thing here. So yeah, Civil War 2, I would not be surprised if they make that into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but they're going to have to replace Tony Stark with somebody else because he died, right, in Endgame. So I'm not sure how they would do this, but this was an interesting book. In the future, what if an AI is created that could predict crimes before they happen? Should we arrest people before they even did a crime? That's the idea, right? And it's like, we can't, what if they chickened out last minute? What if they chickened out and they never did it? We basically just put a guy in jail for something he didn't do. Or something a computer told us he might do. So yeah, it's getting crazy out here, man. But yeah, so I do like the idea of Civil War 2, the story, but I don't actually like the book itself. It's not very good. But the story, I like the story where it's like it's this moral thing, should we stop people before? And this is what I'm saying here, guys, This is what I'm saying here. So let's keep going. Then Larson would reveal that the bosses at DC Comics and Marvel Comics are threatening to stop producing new material because they are floundering and failing. So basically what he's saying is that, like, if people are pirating the books, nobody's reading them, nobody's buying these books. except for like libraries, right? And even libraries, who's going to I don't go to the library anymore. I have my own computer. Internet is much cheaper. Or sorry, you can, like, back when I was a kid, the gigabyte, you would get like 5 gigabytes a month. Nowadays you have unlimited. You never need to go to the library unless you're like a fan of books or something. Like I just don't go like I used to. I still, okay, all right, I went last year or something, or no, like right before the pandemic started, I went. I can't remember why I went there now, but I did go. I still have my library card, funny enough. But yeah, it's like libraries are failing. Everyone's moving to iPhones. It's like, what are you going to do? How are you going to get people to read it? And DC Comics are saying, well, people aren't reading it, so maybe it's time to cancel, So, and this is scary. I don't want them to cancel. This is a part of North American culture. So here we go. He explained these companies are floundering and failing. The threat from upstairs, which is the big boys, right, is that they'll go to all reprints and stop producing new material, which is scary. They're doing everything they can to stay alive. If you can't afford it, do without. Yeah. So there's that. Hansen responded. Wow, so these guys were just going back and forth. Like, Hansen responded, of course, I do agree with everything you're saying. Stealing from artists and creators is wrong in all scenarios. It is really just a specific instance that came to mind when a company's decision made me scratch my head because it almost inherently begets pirating. Yeah, so I think what he's saying, so now it seems like he actually changed his stance a little bit here. He agrees with what he's saying, but like piracy introduces people to the work. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you expect to get, like, how many people out there are going to go to the grocery store and buy the off-brand cola instead of Pepsi or Coke? You're not going to do it, right, guys? Most people are not going to do it. You've tasted Coke. You've tasted Pepsi. By the way, I'm not talking about the drug. You've tasted Coke, the drink. You've tasted Pepsi, the drink, the soda. And you're just not going to buy that off-brand. We all see the off-brand on the shelf. We're not going to buy the off-brand. So the question is, how do you get people to buy it? You're going to need really good marketing. And DC Comics just isn't doing it. So here he's like, it was really just a specific instance that came to mind when a company's decision made me scratch my head because it almost inherently begets pirating. So he's basically saying DC Comics needs to market. Marvel Comics, market. People, they got to go to like, shows. They have to go to like special comic conventions and start, getting out there like a dirty shirt. So that's that. While Marvel Comics and that's it. Okay. So that while Marvel Comics and DC Comics sales numbers are now much harder to come by, given DC Comics no longer distributes with Diamond, and Marvel Comics has also left the distribution. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. While Marvel Comics and DC Comics sales numbers are now much harder to come by, given DC Comics no longer distributes with Diamond, which is something that happened. Diamond Comics basically had a monopoly, or Diamond Distribution, I think is what it's called. Yeah. They had a monopoly for years of a monopoly. And finally they ditched their deals, and Marvel Comics has also left the distributor. So everybody just left Diamond. Diamond's left with the indie scraps and like Image and, Dark Horse and all the indies. Adult graphic novel sales released month by NDP Bookscan now shows North American comics getting absolutely trounced by Japanese manga. I've talked about this. I actually did a video on it about Demon Slayer and how it was destroying basically manga. The latest from May revealed that the latest data from May revealed that not a single North American comic was in the top 20. Holy shit. On the NDP Bookscan top 20 adult graphic novels chart, guys. And this is insulting. Look at the My Hero Academia. And here's the crazy thing. I've read My Hero Academia. And not all of it. And I was introduced to it because I watched some of the episodes of the anime, right? And it got me into the show. DC and Marvel, right? They need to take this approach. They need to make a show. Remember the old Justice League show? They need to have a comic book that runs ahead of a. They need to make a Justice League comic book, then have a cartoon show that like follows the material, and they're just not doing it. Like Japan is literally giving you the answer on how to do it, and you're not doing it. Oh my God. It's bananas, guys. It's just bananas. And here's the thing. If DC would just do it, Marvel is a copycat bitch. They would do it too, right? You could make a really good Justice League book and then just have an entire writing team on the Justice League book and then do a cartoon of it and introduce people to it and never reboot it. Just make it one story so people know about it. It's just too much, man. And manga does it with all their shows, right? All the popular, basically they'll put out a manga. If the sales of the manga do well, it gets an anime. And if the anime does well, it boosts the sales of the manga. It's like a turbine. It's a circle. It's just filling into itself. But DC Comics and Marvel, they're dropping the ball, man. Every single listing was a Japanese manga, with Attack on Titan Volume 33 from Kondasha Comics taking the top spot. Other titles in the top 20 included My Hero Academia, which is just a kick to the teeth because My Hero Academia is the superhero genre told by non-Westerners, and they're beating us. They're literally beating us. Marvel and DC do nothing to respond. They're dying. They're literally dying while manga and anime are taking over. It's unbelievable. You literally own Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, and you can't beat a new character called Deku. His name is Deku, for Christ's sakes. You can't beat that? He literally even has kind of Superman-like powers where I don't know all of his powers, but he's kind of like Superman where he just kind of like punches really hard, but he damages himself or something. I'm not, I've watched a bit of it. I'm not the most familiar with it, of course, but this is a character that I think that can make copies of himself or something. And I think, is that Bakugan or Bakugo? Bakugo is the guy with the explosions. I'm not familiar who this character with the blonde hair. I'm not too familiar. This is that. Oh, I don't know. Who's this angel guy? No. Okay, I thought that was Bakugo. No. Okay, I'm not familiar with this angel. I don't think I've encountered him or this guy. I remember this guy. He was in that like gang or whatever. There was like that gang of villains, the League of Villains. I think. Yeah, League of Villains. And it's like the DC literally has something as cool as Doom Patrol. You got, or not Doom Patrol, the Legion of Doom. And you can't beat My Hero Academia, for God's sakes. But let's see, what else we got here? My Hero Academia, Demon Slayer, Tokyo Ghoul, Spy X Family. I've actually never heard of Spy X Family. Toilet Bound, Hanako-kun. I haven't heard of that one either. Komi Can't Communicate. Hunter x Hunter. Now that's a legendary. You guys got to read Hunter x Hunter. There's also 2 different animes. There's an old one from the 90s or the early 2000s, and then there's a 2011 one, which is really good too. They even do the Green Bit. Is it Green Bit? Where they go into that video game and there's all those magic cards that like give them abilities and shit, or they give them like powers and items and things. And Jujutsu Kaisen. Also, the Chimera Ant arc is really good in in Hunter x Hunter. Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm not familiar with that one either. Not only are Japanese manga dominating the adult graphic novels chart, but reprints make up a hefty percentage of the top 20 superhero graphic novels chart. In fact, the top spot on the list. So this is why they're scared. They're scared shitless. Watchmen is still selling. What? Oh my God, guys. They can't even beat Watchmen from all the years ago. I mean, okay, the Watchmen is a good story, but like, that's such an old book. How the fuck are you not beating that? Other reprints on the list included Batman: The Long Halloween, and they just had a movie. I got to do the review. I am going to be doing a review of that movie. Batman the Killing Joke, that was not a good movie. They actually make love under a gargoyle. Okay, the book was much better. Batman the Killing Joke. If you guys need that's a comic that you absolutely should go read. The Batman the Killing Joke. Now they made a movie on it and it's dog shit. The first half of the movie is like Barbara Gordon on an adventure for some reason, and then she makes love to Batman and it was really weird. And it's like Barbara and Batman, and there's an age gap, and it's kind of weird. And they make love under a gargoyle. It's funny. Okay, anyways. Deluxe edition, Batman Year One. Okay. Tales from the Crypt. I've actually not seen that one. The Deluxe Sandman. I haven't read any Sandman. Preludes and Nocturnes 30th Anniversary Edition, and Watchmen the Deluxe Edition. Beauty. This means 35% of the top 20 are dominated by older books. My God, how embarrassing. What do you make of Larson's comments about the comic industry and the implication that Marvel and DC Comics are floundering and failing? I think he's on the money. I think they are foundering and failing, and they need to up their shit like right now. And might even end up canning new comic production altogether. Yeah, it could happen. Like I said, I just showed you guys IDW. IDW is not doing good. DC and Marvel Comics don't look like they're doing good. They need to shrink their volumes. They need to shrink the amount of content they're producing. They need to focus. They need to make cartoons on the material so people get introduced. They got to stop rebooting. They got to stop making woke bullshit that no one wants to read, and people will come back. Mark my words. So that's it for me, guys. Holy shit, this is a long video. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Like the video, share the video. Give me a subscribe. Bless your soul. Most of you guys will never make it to this far in the video. Maybe some of you will. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. Some of you must have seen piracy. Some of you must have gone to your local library and just read a comic off the shelf, and you're like, I need to keep reading this online because I can't get the books anywhere. It's like, so yeah, did any of you guys get introduced to books by piracy? Did you, right? Naruto, that's how I got introduced. I went to my local library, and also One Piece, and I saw the manga on the shelf, and I'm like, what is this? I want to read this. And I did, and it's still, to this day, I'm still reading One Piece, and it's really great. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Did piracy ever introduce you to a series? I think piracy is actually very instrumental in introducing people to series that they never otherwise would have been introduced to. And that's it. That's all I got to say. So I'm going to end the video here. Bye. If you actually watched all this, my God, here's a thumbs up. Here's a secret double thumbs up from Sandro for watching the whole video. Thank you very much. Peace out, boys and girls. The end.